With the unfortunate sale of a car called Toby Charles, I have at least had this one instead. Say hello to Mrs. Doyle.
Hello! Allow me to properly introduce this car, Mrs. Doyle. Mrs. Doyle, the Rover 416 SLI Tourer.
How about a no-nonsense sales pitch, possible exchange for a classic car video?
It wouldn't be a terrible idea for me just to hang on to this car for a little while. But it also wouldn't be a terrible idea for me to let you know that I will sell it. Like today, if necessary. So, with that, I'm going to do a proper walk around and then pulling a couple of ideas out there. Strangely enough, this car had only been in the yard for an hour when the next person to come in the yard to see me, asked if they could buy it. I won't tell you who that was. Mrs. Doyle is in Nightfire Red, 29 years old, and in pretty good condition considering. Nightfire Red is a rather nice colour if it's kept like this. But, oh, a scratch, another scuff, and a bit of ill-fitting bumper. Some bubbling going on that wing. Then we have, with the exception of a couple of stone chips, straight, all the way along. Barely a mark. Well, there's a tiny one just there. It does look pretty good. Looking carefully, we can find the occasional scabby bit like that. But the roof is good, the sunroof is good, and it's not creating any problems around here, which often they do. The unfortunate part is this here. It was bubbling away, so I poked it, and sure enough, it was a hole, about that big. The interior is all really rather good, with 76,700 miles on the clock. And the amazing part is the headlining. The headlining is actually still there. None of it started to droop anywhere. Maybe it's been fixed, or maybe it didn't go wrong in the first place because it's been parked inside. It's all looking rather lovely in here until we get to this bit here, which just needs a little bit of fixing. Screws come out of there, and it wants to go back in. Also to report is this. Typical problem, they get a bit broken on the inside and then they don't really operate these too well. One click and that's it. Hang on. Click it, take it off. Click it the other way to switch it back off again then. Also externally we find a matching set of brand new tyres. 175 65 R14. But yeah, they are rather diddy. It is nice to see a matching set though, and the correct wheel trims. Underneath the bonnet we find the 1.6 litre D-Series Honda engine. It's not been tarted about with, it's just there. So it would be quite nice actually to detail this engine, get rid of some of the cobwebs, and that's really what we have, lots of cobwebs. The engine bay is showing signs of being stood inside for quite a long time. It's time to check the fluids. Well, good. Engine oil, good. Transmission fluid, good. Coolant, good. Power steering fluid, present. Oh, no, here we go. Service record, just here. And it is, oh gosh, oh no. Oh, well, well, how about this? 2nd of February 1995, and then service book stamped up, 97, 99, to 2007, in service, I think that's the last one, yes it is, of, oh, that was 10 years ago, wow. So it's only done, wow, it's done 8,000 miles in 11 years. Well, how about that? 11 years ago, this car was 18 years old. So it's had a full service history with not a great deal of mileage up until it was 18 years old. And then, past 11 years, barely used. So although this car isn't perfect, I see lots and lots of potential in it. And that's exactly why this car does actually owe me quite a bit. Quite a lot of money. But what am I going to do? If somebody wants to buy it, they could do. But I'm thinking of something else. You see, I would really like to get into something tax exempt. 40 years old plus, or almost 40 years old. I really fancy something that looks and feels proper old. Because this, it kind of does. It just looks very retro, it looks very 90s because that's what it is.
Feel old.
And I want something that makes me feel young by kind of being older itself. Yeah, I want a car. I would do a trade-in with this car, and I'm open to all sorts of possibilities. I want to trade this car in for something that I wasn't old enough to drive when it was new. Well, it's quite a handsome looking car, really, I think. And although it's not Toby Charles, it's still a lovely car. Just driven it up Blackstone Edge and it went quite well. You get the kick down. It's not really slow. In fact, once you commit to going a bit more quickly, it goes a lot better than I was initially expecting. So now I kind of almost want to keep it. So, hello, me again. The weird thing is that I'm finding myself liking this car more and more the more I drive it. It doesn't work if you compare it to the GSI because that's a bit sporty, although it's not lowered or anything like that. It's aggressive. It's an aggressive, punchy engine, isn't it? The T series, where it's just kind of laid back and a bit noisy. But in some ways, it feels more like a proper Rover because it's not trying to pull your ears off. It's just having a gentle drive. There's a bump just up there on Blackstone Edge where every time I've come up here, I was in the MG and it bounces off of it. Literally bounces. You hit the bump and you can feel the back end slip out. This didn't really even seem to notice it was even there. It's lovely. It's so smooth. This would get slightly ruined by having some alloys on it. Now, alloys would make it look a little bit more proper and make it handle a bit better as well. But you know what? If I was to keep this car as my family car, I think I'd want it exactly as it is. I don't mind. I really don't mind wheel trims, the correct wheel trims for this car. And how soft and just lovely the ride is. I've got an MGF. That does the job of being sporty. Why would I want this to be sporty as well? I wouldn't. Am I really going to say that maybe I prefer this to Toby Charles? Mrs. Doyle getting under my skin already. Well, anyway, that concludes this video because, you know, if I'm not careful, I'm going to end up changing my mind and saying I wouldn't swap this for either money or, you know, an older classic. And we don't really want that, do we? No. So anyway, what kind of outro is that? Blimey, how rude of me to just suddenly come to the end of the video like that without really, saying thank you or anything like that. I do apologise. That's not the kind of thing I do normally at all. Normally I'm very grateful for anybody that watches my video, so let's do it now. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for not pressing the unlike button. Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. Thank you for being a channel member. Thank you for subscribing. I'm not sure if I said that one or not. And thank you very much for all of the chats, super chats,
donations, etc. that I've had a few of recently. They all come in handy, you know. See you in the next one.